Hey guys, it's CPO3, or you can just call me Chris or Christian, whatever you want. So these guys hit me up like a month ago, and I was like, oh hell yeah, I'd love to be on the show, do an episode. But that was like right before finals week, and I just finished my finals, last week, and I have low-key been neglecting to do a video. My first draft of the video, the Bucks were playing the Pacers. It was game 5. I had my jersey on. I had my other Bucks hat on. And of course, they poo-pooed on us. Tyrese Halliburton, my number one op. Giannis, my GOAT. Shout out Giannis. I love you so much. Don't leave Milwaukee. Yeah. I just want to say real quick, shout out Astramani, Young Icy Star, long live the motherfucking Saints, everybody there. Everybody, I love all of you. You guys have all helped foster a great community for me. Regards to like just putting out music, like accepting the music that I make. Like, like I know I say some weird stuff. I have a song called Ego. I talk about, I say some weird stuff. Yeah. But yeah. So I guess the first thing I had an idea to talk about is physical media, right? Like nowadays, I sound really old. Nowadays, it's all streaming and stuff, right? When I was growing up, my parents, all their cars, obviously, because that's how they were made, like 2000s, had CD players. And so everyone in my family had a whole bunch of CD cases filled with CDs, like all different types of CDs. And they'd burn their own CDs on their own computers. I did that a little bit for my first CD. Oh my god, it's actually over there. My very first CD I burned and made with my own music on it in like 6th grade. But I just think, okay, so we got like Tyler, Wolf, Flower Boy, Cherry Bomb, Chromacopia, Daft Punk, Kanye, and just like all that, you know, all the goodies, some rock in there. Yeah, just a lot of good music, you know. But I have like a Sony Walkman. But I just think physical media is so important because, like, yeah, streaming is cool and all, but to actually have it, like, physically hold it in your hand and, like, be like, yeah, I bought this, I own this, like, I really own this physically, as opposed to just streaming and just being like, yeah, it's on my phone. I have, like, 15,000 songs on my phone. Like, yeah, okay, but so does everyone else. You know, not everyone goes out of the way, spends $15, or like, I don't even know how much they are now. The last CD I got was like $12. It was System of a Down. Was like $12 on a CD, like actually a physical CD with a case and the jacket and the insert. Sometimes a poster. I like that when they give posters. I can put it on my wall. But it's just important because it really lets the artists express themselves even more. Because, you know, streaming, it's just the profile picture and like a background, like on Spotify. It's just like the icon image and the banner, right? So that's only 2 ways you can really express yourself on that page. But obviously social media and all that stuff. But like making CDs and making CD jackets is just another way for, like, you can put like pictures of the studio sessions, pictures of like whatever you want, and you have the full power to do so because it's your CD, it's your vinyl, it's your whatever. It's just so much more creative freedom. I know I like what Tyler does with his CDs and vinyls. He adds like secret tracks. I know Igor's Boyfriend, Chromacopio's Mama, Cherry Bomb Yellow. I really like what he does because then it's kind of an incentive to go actually buy that yourself. And I got the Igor vinyl when it dropped like 6 years ago. I got this cool ass poster I have in my dorm. Well, had in my dorm. But yeah, shout out physical media, guys. All right, so I went ahead and walked like 3 feet and grabbed my very first CD I ever made. I forgot what this was called. This is my friend's dog. His name was Sean. This was his dog. He sent me a picture in like 6th grade. And this is the track list. Just because you do have AirPods doesn't mean you're rich. Make you Truth, Calm Before the Storm, Road Ahead, Brainwash, Town. Just some weird stuff. And then I literally just got the case and the CD itself from Walmart. And my aunt had an older Mac from like 2008, and it still had the CD like insert in there. So I went in the files, made a whole playlist of all the songs I wanted to add, burned them on the CD. It didn't take that long, but it was just so much fun doing that. That's one thing that I also really like doing, like mixtape culture. My next project, Nothing Music, is kind of a play on mixtape culture, but I don't know. Obviously, I wasn't alive. I was born in 2005. So, like, obviously I was not alive during the time of, like, the rise of the mixtape, like Lil Wayne coming out, DJ Screw handing them out, you know? But hearing stories and, like, knowing people who did live through that time, I just think it's so cool. It's really something that should be brought back today. But obviously, technology. So, I don't see that coming back anytime soon. So, another cool thing I guess I could talk about is I was asked to be the executive producer of a project coming out soon. I don't think it's too top secret, but I'm just not gonna say like who or what it is. But I don't know, I just think it's really cool that even today, when like it's so easy to make beats yourself, and you can just like go on YouTube, look up like blank type beat, like it's just so easy to get beats that you just can use for songs. And I just think it's so cool because I don't know, producers are kind of like a dying thing in the music industry. To me, I feel like, I mean, obviously you have like the greats and the ones that are currently there. Shout out DJ Khaled, bring out the whole lotion. But I feel like producers are just slowly starting to fade away into like not really needed. Like they're there, but no one really uses them, if you get what I mean. But as a producer, like I'm a producer first, then a rapper. Like I've always focused on production first over my rapping, like skills, lyrics, whatever. And I've always tried to improve my rapping, but my production just always seems to find a way to just overtake it. Yeah, so I think it's just really cool that I was given the opportunity to do that, you know, because it gives me more exposure as like a smaller artist compared to everyone else in Saints. And it really gives me an opportunity to like present my style, my music, all on like a bigger stage, because the artists that I'm working with are bigger than me. So it's going to be like obviously beneficial for them because they have some good ass beats, and then beneficial for me because people can be like, oh my God, that beat is so fire, you should produce for me. I'd be like, all right, bet. And it won't be like, damn, this beat's ass, I don't want this guy to produce for me, you know? So it is also a lot of pressure in that regard as to whether or not people actually like the beats. Because I do a lot of like sample work. It all started with Kanye. Like the first album I bought was 808s. And then from there I just went through his whole discography. I bought 808s on CD actually. And from there I went through his whole discography on streaming. And then I was like, dang, like how does he do this? How does he like take these old songs and like and put drums over them and like make it awesome? So I'm always a sample producer first. Like I'm always very sample forward. But some people have told me the way I use the samples and like what I do with them and how I add like different things is not very conventional, and it's kind of weird sometimes. I'm not mad at that. I like that. I like that I can be seen as weird and unconventional in the music industry, because then that means I'm doing something right, to actually differentiate myself from what people would expect or like norms that people would want, you know? Yeah. And by also like furthering myself from the norm of like producers or just underground in general, it allows me to kind of build more of an image for myself. Like on the Saints page, I dropped Ego, and that was just kind of like a goofy song. I said weird stuff. And then I dropped Star like last week, 2 weeks ago, and that was kind of like a little short life story. I talk about like growing up with my mom, my dad, all that stuff. So it's kind of so far like a duality of like goofy and like serious, which is really all I want. Like that's how I am in real life. Like I can have like really deep conversations with people, and then like 10 seconds later we can just say the most dumb shit, and it's just like awesome, because then we can just go back and forth constantly, and like it really is just a nice thing to be able to do, and to be able to express that through music and let people know that it's okay to be that way. You don't have to be one way your entire time. I think it's just amazing. And on that topic too, like it's gonna sound really corny, like being fake, you know, like just be yourself. It's not that hard. Like you just have to wake up, know who you are, and be yourself. I've known a lot of people who have tried to put on personas when they're around me, or like I'll be friends with them, and like it'll just be like a one-on-one, and then I'll bring other friends around, and they'll like totally act a completely different way than they normally would. And so I just think that's really weird. Like, just be the same person you were with me like 20 minutes ago before they were here. Because then if I like you and they like me, then they should like you too. Like, yeah, but it's hard, you know. Obviously, online technology stuff, you know, it's really easy to put on personas that people can look at because you want to fit in or like be cool. Yeah, this is corny, but you don't have to be cool. You don't have to fit in, you know. That's kind of what I was just saying, you know. Like, I don't like to fit in. I don't like to be normal. I like to be weird. Ask any person from my high school if I was normal. They'd probably tell you no, because I was just always the weird kid. I was always doing weird stuff. I was always messing with teachers. I was always making weird sounds, weird faces, doing funny things. Yeah, it was really fun. It's really fun to be able to act that way and just be myself, because it is hard also when I want to go like be a professional in law too, because then I really do have to be a certain way. I have to be professional, obviously. I have to be professional to be a lawyer. But, you know, I can't be cracking jokes to my clients like, oh yeah, your ass is going to jail. Because then, you know, that can be turned around, flipped on me somehow, some way. So I just have to be careful moving forward as I get older and as I progress through like my career in school, when and where I can do those things. So I think music really is one of the main places that I can keep as like a steady place to do that. I've been doing music for about 8 years. Since about 2017. That was when I did music on my Chromebook on some weird app on Google. Then I started getting FL, getting all into it, and now I'm here and I love music. Music has always been a part of my life. It's always been a part of my family's life. And to be able to make it is just such a beautiful thing. To make it how I want it to sound, how I want it to be. I think it's just a beautiful thing. And I know even today, it can be weird to be like, who's your biggest inspiration? Who's your favorite artist? Like, I do have a favorite artist. Obviously, it's Tyler, the Creator. That's my number one. But it's not even just him that I really admire musically. Obviously, it's gonna be him, Kanye pre-Ye, so just normal Kanye. Tyler, Kanye, Eminem was really cool. I really liked all the beats on Encore. Underrated album, hated on album. Encore, love Encore. Love all the beats on Eminem show. Shout out Dr. Dre. Just his corniness too, like his wacky style, I just love. Like, I just love that he just was weird and people liked it. Eminem, Gambino. Oh my God, Gambino. I love Gambino so much. He's so cool. I went to a Gambino show last summer with my cousins, and it was just the best experience I've ever had. It was my first concert too, so it was really like amazing. But Gambino really is a visionary. I love him so much. Donald Glover. I still have yet to watch Atlanta, but I've listened to every album, and I think because the internet is one of the best albums of the last decade that really doesn't get talked about. I don't know why. It's blown up on TikTok. I know Camp did with like Heartbeat and Less, and because the internet really only had 3005 as like the main single that people know. But that whole album is just beautiful in its entirety, like front to back, even without like the screenplay he wrote. Front to back, top to bottom, it's just amazing. It's an amazing album. I wouldn't say it changed my life, but it like definitely made me like gain a new perspective on like my life now, because it kind of relates, kind of what I was talking about too in the beginning with like the transition towards full-on internet usage and like just having everything be digital, you know. And that's really a commentary on that, like post, like it's like pre, like mass internet usage, I guess I can call it, because it's 2013, so it was really before like the internet took off like fully, like everyone used it every single day, and everyone had accounts on everything. So it's just really cool to hear that perspective from my goat Gambino. I know I touched on it for just like a second, but I'm working on a project called Nothing Music. I don't know when it's gonna drop. It's like 20 something tracks, getting some features, getting some interludes from some other people. It's very like 2000s-ish I don't know, kinda. Trying to go for like some old mixtape style, you know, just like not really a cohesive storyline, just like some songs that are together that sort of blend, make sense in the context of one another. And really just talk about this is how I feel right now in the state of the underground music scene. Because so far, you know, I have 2 albums under my belt that I consider like albums under my CPO3 alias, Extraterrestrial and Turbulent Behavior. Turbulent Behavior I thought was my best project so far that I've ever done in my music career. And it didn't really get much attention. No one really talked about it. They talked about it like day of, and the next day it was on to something else. Just kind of how the internet goes, because the internet, you know, Gambino. But yeah, so that did kind of hurt. I have like ego problems or something. But yeah, I put a lot of work into that. That was like 10 months to a year of work on that album. And minimal streams, minimal numbers, minimal everything. But I know deep down that's like my favorite project. It's amazing. I love it so much. It means so much to me. I wrote it in my darkest times of life, and it really is just a reflection of myself in that period. You know, talk about depression, suicidal ideation, relationship problems. Yeah, dang. Well, my dog's running around. But yeah, the album means a lot to me. But this project is kind of a different spin. It's a lot less focused on like my internal feelings and more on my external reactions and like visions of the world. And of course, the world being the underground music scene that I consider myself a part of. You know, I'm in Saints, which is an underground music collective. So that's just a group of people that I surround myself with, that I call my friends, that I call my collaborators, that I call my brothers. So it's a really wide group of people I can be around for music. But yeah, the title, Pretty Much Nothing Music, is in reference to how all my music essentially becomes nothing. Like I said, Turbulent Behavior released, people talked about it, then it faded away into nothingness. Like no one really brings it up anymore but me. So the music becomes nothing and becomes nothing music because it fades away into obscurity. You know, nobody really knows about it. It's like just there to fill up some space in the internet. Yeah, that's pretty much the main premise of the album. I touch on it a little bit, but that's just the title of what's in reference to. And I've been writing some lyrics. I have lyrics for the intro track, outro track, some other tracks. So I'm trying to get some collaborators on it too. Saints, like Worry. Who am I getting? I'm getting Worry, Young Icy Star, Yar the Kid, Astromani, maybe. I know Demo's on there. You know Demo. D3MO, my goat, my lyrical, schmirical goat. But yeah, I think this project is going to be really fun to make. It's already been fun to make so far. I've recorded like 3 songs, and then the rest are rough drafts that are horrible sounding, but that's fine because that's the whole point of a rough draft. Yeah, this album is different from what I've done so far. Extraterrestrial was like kind of a similar premise, like goofy, but it was too goofy. Like I said some really stupid things that didn't like make sense to me at all after going back to look at them 2 years later. And then obviously Turbulent Behavior, complete 180 to depression and darkness and sadness and like and then another 180 kind of back to that similar Extraterrestrial route where the album's kind of goofy, but it's like a more focused and direct goofy. Like it's goofy with a purpose. Like Extraterrestrial was kind of just goofy because I can be, but this is like goofiness because I want to be and I know I can be. So why not just express myself? My dog's going crazy upstairs, I swear. This is like my 3rd time recording this one part, but he's been going crazy upstairs. I don't know why. Yeah, I really appreciate this opportunity. I think this is a really cool thing to have in the underground, you know? Because like I said, I like when artists express themselves and just be themselves. So I think this is a really cool way to do that without music necessarily. But yeah, that'll be it from me. That's what I'm thinking. I'll see you guys later. You guys have a great day. Watch the rest of these videos, guys. The artists put time into this, and everyone would really appreciate it if you gave it your ear, gave it your eyes, gave it a watch. Even if you just have it on in the background, you know, you're like playing games, you're like writing, you're like doing homework, something, you know. I put time into it, and I know everyone else put plenty more time into it than I did. So I know that they'd be appreciated. Any time that you can give to any artist ever is time that's appreciated. We don't really get much light anymore because there's so many artists and there's so many people to look at. So it's really hard to gain attention. But yeah, anything helps, guys. All right, you guys have a great day. Have a fantastic day tonight. Have a good sleep. Go to sleep early. Get your water. Bye, guys.